Hello everyone, welcome to City Skylines. This is going to be a tutorial done in parts. The first one's going to be how to start a new city. I get asked this a lot and we're going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to choose a map that's in the default vanilla City Skylines. And what we're going to do is we're going to do an easy start, a medium start, and a more difficult start. And I'll show you guys roughly about that as we go on. The first map I always tell people to default to if you're starting a brand new city is the Grand River. Grand River gives you two ways to build. It gives you plenty of room. It gets your so-called feet wet, no pun intended, in water and how it works in the game. And it also gives you a nice area to expand on. So we're gonna go ahead and start here. And we're gonna run this at normal speed and show you guys roughly how to get started. Now what this will do is this will get your city going, this will get your income going, and you don't necessarily have to start like this every time, but if you have issues with traffic and if you have issues with money, this is the best way to start, and then you can shape and curve your way and create new ways of city building using this method moving forward. This is just a guide to get you started. Everyone likes to see success. When you get success, it makes you more apt and more determined to play the game more. So it's always good to get a little win every now and again. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a very basic start. Here in the Grand River, you can choose one of two sides. You eventually wanna connect the sides together, but for now we're just gonna stick with one side. We're gonna get you started and get you the first couple of levels going. That way you can have a safe and secure city moving forward. We're gonna go with the boring route of grids that no one enjoys doing. And the first thing we're gonna do is build a road. We're gonna build our grids. And the way I build my grids, our standard grids are going to be, if you're using the basic 2-lane road, it's gonna be just large enough to fit a lot of population, but also small enough for your service vehicles to involve themselves in your happenings, to make your citizens happy. So if you use the straight road tool, you'll notice that when you build a road, it gives you this blue shaded area on either side of the road, and then it gives you a straight line that runs across. This straight line is like a block intersection. If you wanted to build a city block, you would follow this line all the way around, and it maximizes the amount of zoning squares that you have for your city. If you go any wider than that gray, than that light blue shaded area on either side of the road, you're gonna have gaps in your roads, and you can use that if you're going for a more aesthetic look or if you're going to put larger buildings in an area. So for now, we're just gonna stick to the basics. We're gonna come out one full block length. We're gonna build, come over one full block length, and we're gonna complete the connection. That's gonna get our interstate people to get off and on the road in the same area. From here, we're going to come down. I don't know the exact unit count. I go off of money. If you're using the very first road, the 2-lane road that's $40 a sail, you want to come down 2,000. 2,000 gets you a nice even cut. It's also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of your block units, so you can get that separated. And there's our first grid. These are how the grids are going to look in this tutorial moving forward. Now you don't necessarily have to build this way. You can build larger, you can build smaller, whatever you want to do. I have found in my experience, this is the most common and the most effective way to get a city started. And I like building efficiently. You'll notice that in my ways of building. If you ever come by a stream or if you ever look at my other videos, I am a very efficient city builder. I am all about form over function over form. I don't care how it looks, just as long as it works. When you're building a road, you have a circle area around it. This area shows you how much squared zones you're going to have available. So when you're building a road and you want to maximize your space, you want to have that circle just on the outside. That way you can have a full 4 square thickness there, because the larger the building, the more capacity it's going to hold in City Skylines. Now, for example, if I built a road here and stopped it, this allows us to have 2 squares and 3 squares. But when we go to put in zones, you'll notice that, I guess maybe it took up the whole road on that one. Sometimes it cuts it into 3 and 3. Let me try this. I'm showing you what not to do. That way you know what to look out for. Let me do something like this. You see these little squares here? This is what ends up happening with your city. Now, this isn't going to be a house that is 3 squares in size and L-shaped. Depending on how the squares are configured, you're going to have a one house that's 1 block by 2 blocks and one house that's a 1 by 1. You can do this if you want. Like I said, if you're going for aesthetics and you want something to look nice, you can do that. But for all intents and purposes, we are not going to build this way. So we're going to complete our area here. Once you get used to moving around the map and using the WASD keys to move the camera, the game gets a little simpler when you're building stuff. We're going to put a standard issue power plant. Now, some people ask me, why not go green and start with wind power? Wind power is severely inefficient when it comes to cost. And when you're first starting out, you want to try to save as much money as possible in case something goes wrong. Now, the way you build in a city, you kind of want to leave your industrial zones separate from your houses. No one wants to live next to a factory. No one wants to breathe in smog, and no one wants to have to suffer through that kind of stuff. So we're going to be putting our industrial zones here right next to the interstate. Industrial zones crave outside city connections. And if you have an outside city connection here, but your industrial zone exists over here, they're going to be sad because they're not going to have a quick way in and out of the city. So the closest you can get them to an outside city connection, the more they can import and export goods, and the happier they're going to be overall and the faster they're going to build. So we put our power plant there. We're going to use regular basic water because people could be playing on console. I don't know if the Sunset Harbor update put the water treatment in, but there is inland water treatment, which is amazing now. But we're going to go ahead and just build water the regular way. When you're pumping in water and you're sending out sewage, you want to make sure that the water flow is conducive for good drinking. So you can see our flow is headed from left to right, looking at the screen right here. You want to pump up here and you want to drain down here. That way you're not pumping up raw sewage. That's actually one of the top ways to kill a city very early. And if you ever had issues like that, you know how much of a pain in the butt it could be. So there's our first connection. We're going to connect our water. And then we're going to go very deliberate with our water pipes here in the city. The water pipes are laid out the exact same way roads are. You'll notice you have a blue area of effect, and that affects who gets water and where. And you can use that to your advantage and maximize the efficiency of your water pipes underground in your city as well. Some people like to follow the roads, which is perfectly fine. You build a city however you build it. This is only to show you the most efficient way to get started, so that way you can make money. On top of getting water to the city, you also have to get power to the city. The only thing we had to do on this part is put power lines across our water treatment and water facilities, and everything else is going to build its own. For safety's sake, we're going to put a power line all the way across the edge here. This is to ensure that any houses that pop up here will have electricity touching them. Next step is to zone. So we're going to put in 1 industrial zone, 1 commercial zone, and 4 residential zones, because you want more people living here than you have all of your other zones. And then you hit play. This is what starts your city. Now, since we have extra money, we can go ahead and keep expanding a little further out. So I'm going to take advantage of this time and put in another industrial zone here. You don't have to if you don't want to, but as your city grows, you're going to want them to expand and be able to expand. I'm going to go into the budget here real quick. The road budget's only available with a DLC. If you don't have it, don't worry about it. You don't have to mess with the budget too much. I like doing that though, because the road budget is kind of silly in this game. There's no road decay, there's no road destruction that happens naturally in the game, so there's no reason to have that budget. What the budget does do is it increases the speed of the road, that way cars can travel faster. But if you build your traffic the way you're supposed to build it, and you want a good traffic city, then there's no reason to worry about that budget at all. As the city begins to connect, the buildings themselves have an eminent power aura around them that allows other buildings to connect. So we can get rid of these power lines, because this is electrical upkeep that we don't need. And as we get the commercial to zone in and the industrial to zone in, we'll have a power connection all the way across, and we can get rid of this power line altogether. The reason why I want to get rid of the power line is because, unlike SimCity, new houses cannot build where the power lines exist. The power lines completely wipe out this zonable area here. So it doesn't make for good city building to have these power lines still hanging around. We want to use the outcrop of this area for a future expansion if you want to in your city. I usually put commercial around here because commercial is a very moody system late in the game. It's really hard to make a commercial zone happy without making them sad first. So as the city is developing, I'll tell you a little bit about City Skylines and how it works. So your industrial zone needs residential people to work there, and it needs a way in and out of the city to transport goods and to bring in goods. Your commercial zone relies on your industrial zone to feed it goods. What a regular basic industrial zone creates is it creates standard goods. And that's what commercial zones use to put products in their stores. They thrive off of outside connections in a way as well, because tourism is really big for commercial, but they also need people to work there as well. You can see there's numbers of workers here. Residences, they just need to have space. And down here in the corner of the game, you have what's called the RCI indicator, which is your residential, your commercial, and your industrial. And if you mouse over it anytime, it'll tell you what it needs and when it needs it. And you can use that as a tool to kind of guess what you need when you need it. And if you're quick enough, sometimes you can make it happen before you need it, and you can increase the city's growth exponentially just by paying attention to what your city wants. Now, there's one key thing that a lot of players I found in City Skylines do not do, and it is pay attention to the leveling up of your buildings. City Skylines has a way to level up buildings, and this is super crucial and super important when building a city. If you're zoning and people aren't filling in the zones, you don't know why, make sure that your citizens are happy. The happiness is vital for continued growth. Now, everybody's going to complain in the beginning that they want education for their citizens. This is a really tricky part here in City Skylines because in the very beginning, you don't have schools, so no one can get educated. But what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to build schools. Now, if you have a fire coverage issue, you put in a fire station and there's instantaneous gratification. The city reacts to that and they grow. If you need police coverage because of crime, you build a police station, there's instant reactivity, people grow, and everything's great. If they want education, you build a school, it is not instantaneous. Education is an over time stat that you have to acquire. And just because you have enough schools to take care of your citizens that need it does not mean that these houses are going to level up as soon as possible. As the people get educated, then they'll level up. Up here in the top corner, you have a filters button or info, and this is where you can kind of see all of your stats for your city. And Sims in this game live for 4 to 5 years, depending on how you count their lifespan. They start off as a child, they move to a teenager, then they go to an adult, then they move to a senior, and then they die. So while they are a child, they go to elementary school. When they are a teen, they go to high school. And then when they become an adult, they might go to university. And then when they're halfway through their adult into their senior life, they work and then they die. So there's a lot of upkeep that is required in order to maintain a status quo in your city. You always have to be adding, you always have to be growing. It's like anything in life. If you let something stay stagnant for too long, it goes bad. So now that you've got the basics and we're going up, I'm gonna wait until we level up. To check your milestones, there's a little lock down here with a green circle around it, and this tells you how close you are to reaching your next level. And in this game, there are 10 or 11 milestones. I can't remember the exact number. Let's count together. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So there's 13. And the end all be all is your megalopolis. As you level up, you unlock more things and different things into your city. And as you level up, your city is going to want them. One thing to save money in this game, do not build something as soon as you unlock it. Only build it when your citizens need it. Now that has an exception of 2 items, and that is your fire department and your parks. Beautiful sunset here in the city. I currently have disasters turned on with the disaster DLC, so if you see a disaster, just know that it is not on purpose. We're gonna speed the game up just a hair once we reach the first level. The first level is the most important because one thing you want to focus on in this game is tax revenue. Tax revenue is what's going to drive your income and make your city as good as you can ever make it. So once this goes dark, everything comes down, the moon comes up. We should be hitting 360 here very soon because we are growing at 64 population per week. We're still losing money, but we still have income. So now we've dinged to Little Hamlet. We reach a population of 360. We get access to taxes, loans, garbage, healthcare, and education. So here we go. We're gonna go to our taxes. We're gonna set our taxes to 12%. All of the low end, the maximum I would say is a safe number to go to is 12%. You're gonna notice an increase in our revenue, and we should be positive here in just a second. Now, trash. You technically do not have to build any trash until people start complaining about needing trash cans. So we're gonna ignore it. We're gonna ignore it, and we are gonna continue doing what we're working on. Because I want you guys to have that mindset to know that you don't need it until they need it. The one thing that they do need, the exceptions I was telling you about, they need fire and they need parks. We do need educated citizens for people to level up. So we're gonna build an elementary school. If you notice, there's only 57 people eligible right now. Once we build this, it gives us an eligibility to 300. Do they have power connected? They do. So this is gonna help out with the education. No buildings are going to level up. The area of effect you see around a building, this one doesn't have one, but you see the green area there on the roads? So for services like hospitals and fires and everything else, the green area represents how far the service vehicles will go. Education is an exception in this game because it's never going to, it's not like children in this gray area cannot reach this school. Schools will be able to cover the entire city regardless of where they are. The green area affects land value. And there's three things that allow a building to level up, and that's education, services, and land value. So eventually, once you get to a certain point, you'll realize that your citizens are going to want to be covered by more services, for example. And you're going to need to be able to give them what they need in order to grow. So you have to give them fire coverage, you have to give them hospitals, you have to give them all of that to make them happy. Now this hospital may actually level some buildings up. We're going to go ahead and build this here. They're not going to tell you they need a hospital, but you'll find out as people start to die that you're going to need one sooner rather than later. Now I build my buildings right here next to the road. That way I can still build a road out in the future. This does not block any expansion. So now that we've got the city started, I'm going to go ahead and speed up one tick. That way we can get the city to grow more. You see someone complaining here that they need more workers. That means we need more residences to move in. So as people start to move in, they'll start taking these jobs that we have here, and the city will start to grow and coalesce together. Now we're gonna have a garbage complaint soon. I'm gonna go ahead and build a landfill. We'll keep an eye out for the garbage complaint to come up. That way you can see how it looks. If you've never seen it before, it's usually a brown trash can. If a building has an issue, you can click on it and it tells you what it has an issue with. But that also just means sometimes this can tell you that you need residences before this actually ticks up. There's a lag with this RCI demand that you can notice as you're building a city. Once the sun comes back up, we'll watch the sunrise, and I'll switch it over to daylight only. That way you guys can see how the city runs and see everything that I'm building. That way you're not stuck in the dark. Because I know working in the dark sometimes is a little cumbersome in City Skylines. And I don't want to give you guys, I don't want to leave you in the dark if you're trying to look at how to build a new city. But it is nice. We do have the speed coming up. Our traffic is not an issue. You can see the cars are going through quite nicely. People are walking around. The city's heading in the right direction. It has not completely filled in the entire space though. But since we have money, we can continue to expand. Now, each of these blocks, if you use the method that I used, costs 400, 2,000, and another 400. So it's 2,800 per expansion. So as long as you've got an extra $2,800, you can continue to expand. Don't run yourself broke though. As long as you have income, you should be okay. But if you start running yourself broke, you're gonna have a problem. Now, as you expand your roads, you also have to expand your water. So make sure you have water coverage for all these areas as well, because they're gonna want it and they're gonna complain. So we've got that going. That's all set. We're at daylight, $400. Once the sun completely comes out, we're gonna switch this over to daylight only while we finish out the video. All right, we're a worthy village, 750. We've unlocked emergency services, which is your fire and all of your disasters if you have disaster DLC, police department, and now we have unique buildings. We're also getting loans. Loans are super important if you don't know what they do or what they are. They're really good if you're trying to push something out quickly. We do have money though, so we're not gonna worry about that. When you first unlock fire departments, they're gonna light a building on fire to test and see if you built one or not. You wanna put one down as soon as possible, because if you don't, you're gonna end up having a bad time with your whole city pretty much burning down. So we're turning off day-night cycle. We turn the music down just a hair. It's still pretty overpowering though. We'll figure it out as we go along. And there's our city growing. So now that we've zoned these areas out here or got these prepared for zones, I'm gonna go ahead and put more houses out here. And we're gonna build a police station. We don't have enough money for a police station. If you notice, they haven't complained about garbage yet either. We haven't built a single landfill yet. That would save you $4,000 if you needed that $4,000 to expand your city by a little bit. I was waiting for them to complain so I can show it to you, but it looks like no one's complaining yet. So we're gonna hold off on that for just a moment as we continue to grow. At this point in your game, you technically don't need the infinite money mod anymore because we are never going to lose money. Your city's gonna continue to grow and everyone's gonna continue to be here. The only problem is right now you're racing against the clock because people only live for 4 years in this game, like I said. You're gonna wanna get the cemetery up sooner rather than later. That way you can have somewhere to bury your citizens. So you can leave a city small like this if you really, really want to. If you're going for more of an eclectic look, or if you're building something that looks pretty, you're gonna wanna unlock all and have access to a cemetery or a crematorium. That way you can balance everything. Here's our first trash can icon. Garbage is piling up. So we're gonna go ahead and build a landfill now to take care of that. And you're gonna see the trucks come out of here as the demand requires, and they're gonna go to these buildings and get rid of the trash. So that's the icon I wanted to show you that they're gonna look out for. There's also gonna be a crime icon that pops up here soon. So we're gonna go ahead and build a police station. Police stations revolve around their jail capacity. Your crime rate can be any number. It does not matter what your crime rate is. As long as you have enough jails, your city will grow and everyone will be happy. Now what this police station does is it has increased the land value around here. So some of these houses might actually level up. If they don't, it's okay. We're gonna go on ahead and take out these loans though, because I want to do some quick expansion pieces to show you what else you can do with a brand new city in order to take it to the next level. We're gonna take these 2 loans here and we are going to build this way and come down 2,000 like I said before. I'm gonna stop here at this line. That way we can have a continuous area here. And if you notice, I'm keeping the industrial separate from the residential. We're gonna have to change that up here in just a minute because here's what I do around rivers. I go as far as I can straight and then I bring it across. Sometimes if you're going up and down hills, it won't be ideal, but you can kind of hug the river and make the system work. You don't have to build like this. This is just me showing you how to contour your terrain. That way you can make use of it in a later time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the commercial area and I'm going to switch over to the marquee tool. Now your largest building is going to be 4x4. So we're going to do a 4 block and an 8 block of commercial, and we're going to go all the way across. Only to the next commercial zone. And the reason why is this creates a buffer for the industrial. We're going to take the industrial and come across this way with it. That way the industrial can expand out here and forever grow as it needs to. And the residential will be forever protected by the commercial zone. And there's no need to worry about any stink or anything. We just hit tiny town. That gives us high schools. It gives us more ways to grow. As you get buildings, if you want to, as a city builder, you want to experiment, test some things out, see what works, find out how the game feels to you, and then make changes based off of that. So we're gonna check our water here. These guys are pretty much set. I'm gonna bring this down And then these pipes need to come down a little further to take care of the expansion that we just did. Once you get comfortable in your money and your city building capabilities, that giant zone that we just zoned in commercial, you'll be able to go above and beyond that. If you notice, we just got this entire place here. You can go one step further and just put in a bunch of commercial or a bunch of residential like this. And the sky's your limit. These little tiles right here need some love as well, so we're gonna fill these in. And that's gonna build houses non-stop. We just unlocked parks. Parks are super important, and I'll show you why. Parks are good for raising land value because people are gonna want land value. Let me build a high school real quick. These skins are big for these buildings. I don't like this big high school. It's really awkward to build. We're gonna build it up here next to the interstate. So parks are huge because what they do is they have an area of effect around them that increase land value. Land value is super huge for leveling up houses. Now I'm gonna use this Paradox Plaza here. If you don't know how to do that and get the Paradox Plaza, keep an eye out on my channel for some more information about that. It's a quick little video on that as well. But if you notice, there's smiley faces and houses will turn green. Green means they're covered by the park. The area of effect works and everything's great. What was that noise? So now these should be perfect and forever happy. And that's gonna cause an upgrade. It's also gonna cause the land value to go up. It's also gonna make citizens happier in the end. And that's what we want. The goal of this is to make the citizens as happy as possible. So now we have a steady income. We have a beautiful city. We're gonna get close to our electrical requirements here. So we're gonna build a second power plant. That's gonna take care of those needs. Let's check our water. Water is okay, but we can always expand it. It never hurts to have a little more water if your funds can shake it. So we'll put another pump there and we'll put another spillway here. I'm gonna put one over here on this side actually. So we got the space for it there. Is there houses here? So those houses may become a little averse to us putting that there, but if they do, we'll just de-zone that and put something else in its place. If you're building a super tiny city like this, you're not gonna have to worry about people complaining about too much because small towns are a little more forgiving than normal. But that's your city, and that's how you start. You don't have to do this every time. You can do this for a little bit until you get comfortable with the game, and then you can go build other stuff. One thing I do is I actually build like this in the beginning, and then I go and I buy other tiles and I build the city that I want. So like for instance, because we have this grid-like city, this is generating us income. We're making 1,700 a week. We have a flood here, which is bad. That should go away. So we're generating income here, which means I can then come over here and I can build the city that I want here. So what I can do is I'll shape this around and make it look nice and have like a plaza here with like maybe a statue or something. And then we can come out here with the freeform tool and make a nice wavy road and switch over to dirt roads, and we can put residences out here. And we can start building our picturesque, perfect city that we want to have. And we can come over here with a dirt road here, and we can make this like your farmland for your industrial. And you can build your city on this side, but use this to generate income. And then eventually you can mow that over because you'll have the rest of your city holding it up, and then you can turn this into something else that you want. Or you can call this Old Town. You can go to your district tool here, and you can district it as Old Town. And you can have this as like a relic for your city. It'll be the historical district. So it's called the Coleridge District. We'll do historic downtown Noobville. And there you go. And you can set them their own policies. You can make them special. Ban pets, ban smoke detectors. Do something to it to make it quirky in the future, and it adds a little spice to your city. And then you can look back later and think how you ever started the other way. But that should get you started. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and check me out on Twitch if you're live. If you have any questions, we stream City Skylines Fridays and Saturdays most of the time. So I appreciate it. I love your faces. Have a great night and take care of yourselves. And I'll see you soon. Good night.